Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to United 96 here on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network. It's been a week, John. It's been a week. Trying to get readjusted, trying to get refocused and ready to talk. John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend? I feel like it's been
such
a long time
Ted.
since we talked. Yes, it has
It's
been.
been a long time. If
Yes.
you, I'm sure you missed it last week. I got it right. I said United 96 podcast, and then I forgot to hit record, and then I hit record and redid it, and I said RFK Refugees. So it was really just punishment for all of my shit giving that I give you. But yeah, man, it was an all right weekend. I got to see just a barn burner at Audi Field, just sort of an amazing display, and I got to watch Bari on TV. My, I guess, presumptive Italian team, because that's where my family's all from, and they're Serie B, so it's their first time I've ever been on TV, at least as I know. So it was fun.
Nice.
And also EPL's first weekend, Bundesliga first weekend. It was, I'm sure, I don't know if you were out of the house, Ted, but if you're in the house, that weekend is basically just like, I'm going to be watching soccer all day. Until you make me do something else, that's what's going to happen. There's enough soccer to just watch it from sun up to sundown.
Well, the trade-off the wife and I made was that we actually had to drive to Harrisonburg because there is it's this company that like imports exotic plants, because that's what my wife is really into, and they go to these different greenhouses and have like pop-up shops, and people like pre-order. So we did that. So I watched. She drove the way, so I watched the Liverpool game.
Was that Saturday or Sunday?
This was Saturday.
Okay, so Sunday you should for that get all day soccer, I assume.
Yes,
sundown.
Essentially.
Okay, good.
Essentially, it was all there. Well, there's no MLS though. I was kind of disappointed. I'm always sad. I missed the Sunday MLS. I kind of like that. I like that little nice little ride into Sunday. But then we went to the Kickers game. They won. They're top of the League One table. It's nice. It's nice to watch a winning team, John.
I wouldn't know.
It just the Nationals are out here just ripping your hearts out too, man. You're just getting like no.
There's nothing good in my sports world at all. Nothing.
I think there's some. I think if you look, there's some good in DC. But
nope.
We'll
I feel like we'll talk about
disagree. We'll talk about that. So how do we jump into it? We have no rundown prepared. We're just winging this episode,
ripping it old school.
Let's talk DC, New York. Let's get into that. Then we'll get into some of the news, some of the disagreements, into the transfer window, all that fun stuff. So, but let's start with the game. Let's go into the game. So you actually went out. You sat in the supporter section. You actually went out. You're belaboring the parking. You're not doing your season ticket next year. So true. I want to give you the floor to talk a little bit. At least talk a little bit about that, like your experience going to the game.
Oh yeah,
and just everything about that, because you're the one season ticket holder here on the podcast.
That's true. It's true. Well, for now, until next year. Yeah. No, I'll start with that. So the reason I did what every stupid person on the internet does, but it's amped up because we have this show. Assume that people want to hear my opinion about why I'm canceling my own personal season ticket, which they don't, but people care enough to whatever. The price went up 15%, which kind of sucks considering this team is in last place. And it will stay there, I think, probably for the entire season. And Christian Benteke was nice. I put my cancellation before they announced him after the deadline. That doesn't move the needle for me. I don't really care. That doesn't make me want to go to more games. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that they're doing that. They had to do something. I think you and I agreed about that. We'll talk about the deadline, I think, probably in a little more in depth. But yeah, I mean, I can just get there. I can get there cheaper. Parking is a nightmare. If you want to actually park closer than like a mile away, you can park 0.9 miles away anytime for $15. But I don't. I am old now, and I don't really want to do that, particularly in August. Not a real big fan of that. So
yeah,
I metroed in. That was cool. I recommend that. I parked for free Crystal City and metroed in. It was great. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. I'll end up there a lot next year. I will do supporters group tickets. I like being over there. It's nice. And then I don't have to worry about like all of the games that I can't make, which is like at least 25-40% of games, it seems like, because life is exists and I have a job and all those other things. But yeah, for Saturday night, it was turned into nice weather. It wasn't too bad. There was a little bit of a breeze, and we can pivot right into the game. There wasn't much of a shocker, I think, in the lineup, except for Rodriguez getting his first start, which is good. And that's really about it. There wasn't any other surprises if we're looking at Tony Alfaro starting in lieu of the Brendan Heinzike broken foot. And I think that's going to be the way. He played pretty well, so I think he's probably at least earned himself a couple more starts. And Kamari Smith, left back of the future. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
possibly.
Matt Doyle out here loving the Kamari Smith. I thought he played decently, and if you are not a top tier attacking talent, now Nahar is kind of the exception. There's some differences, I guess, with Andy. A little bit, but I mean, if you're not a top tier like attacking talent, moving to wingback is a pretty good option. So I think if Kamari Smith can kind of find that role right in that left back position, we need bodies there first of all. So I mean, I think if he has a successful part of the season, I think he earns his contract, and he looked good. I thought this was the most controlled performance I thought we felt from this team. There were maybe a couple moments when they maybe were under a little bit of pressure, but really, I mean, they didn't generate much, but they also really didn't allow Red Bulls to generate that much.
It's like two people were pushing on a pull door, and that was the game. Basically, no one really broke down the other team's tactics. It was like, here's the immovable object, and here's the other object, and they're just gonna smash into each other for the entire game. So from a viewing standpoint, awful. Yeah.
Not a fun game.
To be there in person, and I said it was nice, but it was still humid. It was unbearable. There were 2 shots on. I think I'm trying to remember by the end of the game if it was still 2 shots on goal. Where is it?
They had a couple. They had at least a couple opportunities on target.
Two shots on target. And those did not come until the second half. In the first half, there were none. Although I was told Kamari Smith got a shot saved near post in the first half. But good Lord, I mean. I guess we just say specific. So Kamari Smith, I would say, was the best player of the first half. He was combining well with Rodriguez a couple times. Some people on Discord were saying Rodriguez had a great game. He did not. There was no end product. He did not have a great game. He made a couple no look passes, and I think some people whose names shall remain secretive, who, if you're on the Discord, you know who I'm talking about. But just anytime anything, it was not impressive. Miguel Berry continues to look like a project. Certainly not ready. Benteke, as soon as he's got his legs, I mean, obviously he was going to get in right away, but like Barry is not going to be challenging him for minutes or anybody for minutes. I don't think he's just kind of there right now. He's kind of inert. Did anybody stand out for you in the first half?
I thought Hopkins had some good looks. He of course came off early. I have kind of thought he's gotten an opportunity to start, and I have thought that he had that kind of those first real good moments. And then I always feel like with a young player, I want to see, and maybe it's unfair. I want to see that kind of next, either that same level that I saw or and then maybe a little bit of a step up. And I thought through at least the past couple games, I don't think he had really strong performances. I thought he was kind of a weak point out there. Definitely looking his age at 18. But I thought this game, as the game went on, he kind of started to grow into a little bit. He started making some of the right passes. I still think his decision-making maybe needs to get a little bit better. And I've praised his decision-making, but I think it's starting to show. I don't know if the pressure is getting to him. He feels like, I have this opportunity. I know the team is going to be looking for probably a designated player in my position come next winter. So I need to make my statement now. And I feel like he's not really playing with a sense of freedom. And to be fair, I mean, the whole attack is very much a work in progress. There's a lot of guys that I think, like Martin Rodriguez, like Ravel Morrison.
Look at the lineup. I mean, look at the like come on.
Yeah. They're still trying the 4-3-3. I really don't, from a attacking standpoint, it's just really not working. I hope this is very much this is what I have, and I have to get something out there. So let me try to come up with a formation that can at least get some guys to work together, to gain some understanding, even if it doesn't tactically it isn't tactically working at this point. Because I mean, and everybody wants to, we'll get into the deadline deals. I'm probably not going to be as negative as some fans on this. I mean, I've contended. I understand the team is still mathematically alive. I know people talk about 8 points. This team is not making the playoffs.
No.
They will finish. My hope is they maybe get a couple wins in them, stay off the bottom, and essentially, positioned themselves for next year, and they're already starting to think that. With the amount of changes that have come in, and just the way they need to sort of quickly, they're all kind of coming in. It takes a while for the visas, and I just don't know you're going to get this team really humming. If we can see just maybe by those last month of the season when everybody's in, we've got Benteke, we've got Paulson, we've got Morrison, we've got Rodriguez, have all had opportunities to learn a little bit from each other. Maybe you see a little bit more, but I mean, this team it's going to end in no playoffs, probably for both DC soccer teams this year, unfortunately. So
no, for certain.
It's all about next year for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. It has to be. It can't not be. Otherwise, we're not going to do this show anymore. Probably. we don't have next year to look forward to. I don't think we could muster up the energy.
No relegation.
That's true. I just, it's a struggle. Ravel Morrison. I don't have his pass map up here, and people talk about, he knows the tactics. He knows the formation. He's there to keep like a metronomic passing back and forth. Just offered nothing from an attacking perspective. Didn't really do that much on the defensive side either. It was just sort of there. Sort of disappointed by his play. Like you said, Hopkins was overmatched. There was a lot. It was contagious to pass the ball to nobody. I think in this, and the things that surprised me. And this may just be indicative of how far in a hole we've been this year, is the number of fans who were pretty content with this game overall. Like they're like, no complaints. We held Red Bulls to no goals. And
no embarrassing.
I mean, it's cool not to lose 7-0. It's cool not to add another tweet to the "we'll be right back" thread. It's all good stuff. For me, again, this is all about me because I'm one half of this show and I had to go see it in person. If you are at the bottom of the table and you stink, it's cool to get a scoreless draw. Like, you want to build that defensive shit. And I understand all that. That's good. But I think that they were able to do this defensively because they abandoned the attack. It was They were able to do that because that was the point. They were just, and in a season where you have lost and you're not going to make it, and this point against the Red Bulls does not matter at all, I don't see the wisdom necessarily in going full nullification tactics and not really. I mean, I get it. I guess points are good. Wayne's going to be judged on points. If perhaps I have a bit of nostalgia or non-nostalgia for and granted, I don't think it was ever really the way he said it was going to be, as far as I'm never going to draw 0-0 and I'm going to win games 4. That really wasn't the way it was because of the team that he had. But when I saw this lineup, I ran downstairs to try to put money on Red Bulls. And I'm glad I didn't, because I would have lost it. I was going to put $50 on Red Bulls to win looking at this lineup. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, we're just not scoring. It's just not going to happen. There's the horses are not there. And they're on the bench. Taxi's on the bench. He was nursing an injury. Ol was on the bench. Anybody that came on looked pretty poor. It was not like they changed the game or anything, but I don't know. I don't take a lot of positive out of this. I don't see it as a building block necessarily. It's good that they got their first clean sheet since May something, I believe, is something ridiculous. But it's just a game. It just occurred, and then we've got a next one to look forward to. Hopefully, more than 2 shots on goal in that one.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's also, I mean, this I think is a tough game for a team trying to figure themselves out, because Red Bulls they're a team that is, if given a choice between playing soccer or just throwing rocks, they'll take the throwing of the rocks each time. And it was a very physical game. I mean, I think
there was a rock throwing contest for sure.
One thing I think, to getting back I thought Hopkins was very much, they were targeting him and let's foul this kid as much as we can. And I think for the first part, it was getting to him. And then as the game progressed more towards the second half, I felt he kind of started to pick up a little bit. So it would have been interesting to see. I hope his injury is not serious. I hope it was just precautionary. They probably brought on, I almost wondered the wisdom of just going with 10 men at that point and then just getting to halftime and then making your sub, because you're burning a sub window there when you do that in the first half. But I mean, other than that, I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot you can say about this game.
No,
really. Yeah, I mean, Afar gets the man of the match, which I think is all you can really say. I don't know if it's a building block. I think with this team, I'm maybe not so negative on Morrison. I think he still has one or two moments where you can see the talent, you can see what he brings. It's just, can he get the familiarity with his teammates? And I'm not sure with a lot of these players, like, can you really judge? Can you really judge who they are with kind of how the team's been constructed at this point?
And he looks like he's in preseason. He looks like he has the wind of a guy in preseason. So, because he was. Yeah. So that makes sense. Hopefully it changes.
Yeah. And we'll get into a little bit sort of about that of I think the importance of what this team did in the transfer window and how it's going to, I think, serve them better. Maybe not for this year, but certainly for heading into next season. But anything else you want to add on this game? Anything else you want to drop about this game? Any news notes? Or do we want to bottle this up? And there wasn't a lot of analysis there, but probably for a good reason, because there really wasn't much to talk about.
Not much to analyze, unfortunately. Yeah. Good crowd. Good. The energy was high. It was a good encapsulation of the game. It was like 80th minute. There was a corner, and all the stands, the full stands all around were chanting. So the quiet side, all of it. And I think it was a cross out of bounds. It was just like a perfect, like, oh, we've got a chance to be excited. And it was just like let down by lack of sharpness and technical skill. So it was a bit of a bummer, but hey, it happened. And we got a point out of it. We didn't lose. Losing that game 1-0 would have been, I would have started to try to unbolt my chair and throw it. Although I was in the standing section, so I couldn't have. So I don't know what I would have done.
Pull up the railing, have a Hulk moment, pull up the railing. There you go. Yeah,
I would have been mad, I guess.
Yes, hopefully we see some more excitement in the upcoming All-Star game and All-Star week. And if anybody here is going to be at the goalie wars that are rumored to be happening at the skills competition,
record it.
And record it, please. Instagram live it. There's got to be somebody out there in the stands that's got to do that for.
Why would they not? Why would they not cover it, Ted?
I think they. I'm wondering if ticket sales were maybe lagging a little bit on people actually wanting to go to the skills competition.
You think the goalie wars is what's boosting the game day attendance?
I think for the hardcores it might like incentivize some people to go. I think obviously it's been talked about. It's been asked about. Let's talk a little bit. You know what? Before we get into DC, let's talk a little All-Star game because it is coming up. Second year in a row, MLS versus Liga MX All-Stars. John, what are your thoughts? I guess we have this conversation every year.
Yep.
About what is this All-Star game? You know, what's purpose does it serve? I personally like that it's sort of gone to, at the very least, a All-Star team versus an All-Star team and not a like All-Star team versus Europe. But I do wonder, I do feel there was a sense, I feel like a more intriguing aspect to it last season that I'm not sure is there this year. So I'm wondering if it's like already starting to get stale. Maybe you can disagree with me, but
I mean, I think that's true. I think the novelty factor is already gone. Mm-hmm. What if next year they have to mix the sides? You make like a fusion. You just all the players are thrown into the pot, and then you have a Mexican and a United and an MLS representative, and you can pick across boards.
I think the NHL tried that at one point. I think it was pretty successful. So they do like some division type of thing. They've completely like tried to mix up the All-Star game. But I love the skills competition. That's probably going to be like where I'm going to be paying the most attention to. I also recognize that I think a lot of people try to put like this thing has to have value. What I'm watching has to have some value, and I'm like, it really doesn't.
You watch MLS, man. Like you're watching. You watch random MLS regular season games. It does not have to have value. Incorrect.
Yeah, no, and for me, it's just like it's something fun. It's entertainment. Like it's nonsense. Sometimes nonsense can be fun, and that's what All-Star games are in every league. Like it's just like nonsensical fun. I love that they have MLS has sort of stopped taking it so seriously. I feel like it was always just kind of the buildup of MLS versus Real Madrid. Like that was the buildup. Oh, we're going to see the best of MLS take on Real Madrid. And like, that was the buildup. And then they kind of said, you know what, let's have some fun with it. Now we have a skills competition. Love it. Really hoping that the goalie wars is not the rumored. And because I think that's something that would be really fun. Want to see some of the other things, the soccer, tennis, some of the old things from when I was a kid. So I'm excited about that. Definitely going to be checking that out. So
yeah.
All right,
Taxi, don't get hurt. Taxi,
yeah.
play, score a goal, don't get hurt.
We're having probably our worst season since 2017, and we have an all-star in the game. So go figure. So go figure.
And 3 youth players apparently.
Oh, and the MLS. It's like an MLS Next competition. See, that stuff's fun too. Like I feel like they are trying to make it. They're trying to NBA it a little bit, which the NBA like All-Star break is considered like one of the more fun All-Star breaks. I do think it's a little. I wish the season would take a little bit of a break. I think that's the problem here. It's like we got a game next week. We got this thing in the middle, and it's kind of like there's no real like subsequent break to actually like boost this up a bit. So
the good thing is that they will have they'll manage the minutes in such a way that no player probably goes more than 30 minutes. Hopefully, Taxi better not pile on minutes on. They probably won't. I mean, like Chicharito is the one I'd be concerned about because they're going to want to really merchandise the hell out of him for this game.
Yeah, Taxi will probably be like a 20-minute sub or something like that. So
perfect.
I do wonder if he's going to be in the skills competition. That I will be checking that out.
He needs to be on the volley off of a corner skill challenge. Very specific skill that he has that he's very good at.
Yeah, I always thought like they could do something with like the cross, and then like the attacker has to do some like sort of crazy like skill, almost like a dunk type competition thing.
I like that.
It'd be kind of fun. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk DC. Let's talk the deadline day that was looking to be extremely disappointing, and I think that fired off a bunch of emails, including yours,
including mine.
So let's go through that night a little bit, and let's talk a little bit. So I think it was around 10, 11 o'clock, if I remember correctly. It was sometime late in the night. Golf saying that team was eyeing moves, but basically they were. I think there was a Spanish player that we were linked to that fell apart.
They would keep the powder dry for the winner if they couldn't make a move. Was his hedging?
Yeah, and I was very, very. I was upset. I was not upset if they got to this point and they said, "We really don't have anybody. We don't want to force anything. Let's just call it. We're not really confident on any of these guys that we might have a chance at signing. Let's just call it a day. Let's, really focus on the winner." I mean, that might be the right decision, but from an overall perspective, if you take the window into account, this team came in and said, we are going to sign designated players. We're going to bring big names in. And it was looking like the only designated player they were going to bring in was Victor Paulson. And Victor Paulson might turn out to be a great player, but that's not the type of level of player you want to bring in, especially when you're already talking about, buying down his contract. And he is a very much a low level DP. He probably just makes with his transfer fee just above that limit that makes him a designated player. And they wanted to keep their allocation money, or they didn't have the allocation money to buy him down. Otherwise they might have. So looking incredibly disappointing. And then we hear, nope, they signed a player from Europe. And it was a player that was considered a long shot. Funny how that works. I remember Wayne Rooney being like 50. Oh, it's a long shot. We don't know if it'll happen. And then suddenly it's like, oh, it's happening. This kind of felt similar in a way. Christian Benteke signed. Big announcement. Right at the window too. I feel like everybody was kind of doing their like window wrap up podcast. And I was sitting there like refreshing Twitter, and then literally everybody wraps up, and then they get the sign. But John, give me your thoughts. What were your feelings towards that heading into the window, and also thoughts on Benteke coming to DC?
Yeah, so I think I was also a little bit annoyed about the fact that if you this is all about Wayne. We've got a year and a half, and then he is gone. The players that he has brought in are matching him and will match him on their contract length with maybe an option year or whatever, but Ravel was not staying here past Wayne's exit. That is a bet the house on that. Stone cold lock. So, I think that you can't afford to waste windows with that in mind. If all you have is the winter and the summer next year, that is very dangerous, particularly because DC United always, historically, every summer window almost, they say, we're just going to shop in the winter. Like we just couldn't get things done. We think that's the better time for us to look. Which is like, not necessarily true in the rest of the world. Everybody else says we want to buy in the summer because that's when teams are more willing to make adjustments to their roster. They don't want to sell in the winter because then they almost always have to buy, and they don't want to be put into that necessarily. So that was upsetting. The Benteke news, I think I was already sort of, just over it at that point. And I don't think he is, he is not, I don't believe he has the impact Wayne Rooney has, even though will be 3 or 4 years younger than him. He'll be 32 by the next season.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Yes.
He's 31 now. His goal scoring has dropped way off. Last season, he was a bench player for Crystal Palace, worked himself into a bench position, scored 10 goals, I believe, the year before that. That was a good season. He's just been hot and cold. He was bought for $50 million, I believe, to Liverpool. And then he was sold off again for $30 million, I believe. So just like a sort of a downward trend. And that's really, when you think about it, this is the type of big name that DC United can pull over. Like a player that is like, it reminds me of Jermaine Defoe when he came over here, like a player with talent that had previously been very, very hot and then started to tail off and wasn't getting the minutes he wanted anymore, or the sort of respect. And an MLS team was like, oh, we will love you. You come over here, you make a big difference for us. You'll sell tickets. You'll play every match. We're not going to sub you off unless you want to be subbed off. Like, don't worry, man. You're the guy. So, I am not. I don't believe he alone will not make this offense tick. I think I think that's just the facts. I was upset that we did not sign any fullbacks or center backs. I think that Paulson will probably play center back because we have 9,000 defensive midfielders and like 2 or 3 center backs. So that kind of makes that the way it's going to go. There's a chance they could still sign some fullbacks in the free agency. I think there's still about maybe a month left to go on that. I'm not sure the deadline is.
Hey, John Brooks still doesn't have a club.
John Brooks is probably going to go somewhere else, I would imagine. But all that being said, I think that this team had a decent window, I guess, in the players they brought in overall. If you look at not just like the deadline, but overall, if you expand it out to the entire season, who they lost and then what they replaced them with, I don't think you could say we're necessarily better than we were to start the season. Ola Kamara, if you remember last year, was the co-Golden Boot winner. Do we think Christian Benteke is going to score 19 goals next year? It would be nice. He can.
Yeah,
but that I think that is certainly, though, I would say that would be a high-end expectation for him. Mm-hmm. And then we had a player who's exceedingly frustrating and wasteful, and we were trying to get rid of him. He's out of contract. We may not retain him, and that's sort of his output. I think he's got 6 goals this year. So it's really tough to predict. I think that there has to be more moves. The other DP that we're talking about, that has to happen. I think in this winter to consider this team actually being serious about next season, and they have to sign some defensive players. We're just talking about Kamani Smith. I love that he's made himself useful after what appeared like a draft bust / international spot waste on DC United, and now he's providing a little bit of value. But you got to make a real move on left back. Brad Smith is done. You got to make a real move there, and maybe right back too. I'm not sure, but that's sort of my general takeaway about where are we now versus where were we before we fired it on at the beginning of the season.
And I've talked a bit. I think they made the right. If you're talking about the most fluid situation, where you had, I guess, the least amount of resistance. You already have a successful, for right now, successful designated player in Taxi Funtas. You nailed that, like your first real nail. You have a player that you can build around. You needed, I think, to get players that can help support him and sort of give that offense, here's the identity of our offense going forward. It's going to be probably Victor Paulson and Ravel Morrison in the middle. You have Rodriguez out wide. Probably out wide is still, in my opinion, the wing position is still a concern for me. Jackson Hopkins could be a great talent, and maybe he pushes forward. But I think after what we've seen, you probably want to make a new move there. You have Taxi Funtas, you have Christian Benteke, and then you have Miguel Berry, because it's very clear that both Nigel Robertha and Michael Estrada are gone. So
Estrada rumored to have been gone already, or no, it was that he rejected an MLS trade, and now they're just trying to move him off somewhere so they can terminate his contract.
Yeah, basically, it's like find a move, figure it out, and we'll terminate. I can't believe they can't just. I guess They're like, no, you're not. We don't want you. Maybe there's no clause to cancel the loan. I feel like that's a pretty,
which is wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's the case. I think maybe his parent club was like, we're not paying his salary at all this season, no matter what.
Yeah.
So you figure it out. You make the payments. We're not doing it.
I mean, either way, he's gone this year in a lost season. So I think everybody's looking like, oh, they have all these attackers. What are they doing? I'm like, yeah, most of these attackers are going to be gone next year. So I think the top end of the roster is where you invest the money. It's the way MLS works. It's why I think Benteke can be a potentially great striker for this team and can score a bunch of goals, because there's not a lot of money that's invested on the defensive side of the ball. Very, very few teams are doing it. Matt Miazga and Walker Zimmerman are like the exceptions to how everybody else builds their roster.
I love the Matt Miazga, Jeff Cameron center back pairing for Cincinnati. That's a wild. What year is it? Type of move for sure.
And again, I've talked about, there are a slew of free agents that are going to be available on the defensive side of the ball. And so I think right now you have so much salary in Brendan Heinzike, so much salary in Steve Birnbaum, and the fullback position. Obviously, you've already spent a lot of money on Brad Smith. You got a little bit back for Julian Gressel. I'm not so concerned with the where this team is now, and the fact that I feel like they're very close on the offensive side of the ball to at least having an identity and a path forward here, that I am okay with them maybe saying we're going to hold off on the defensive side of the ball in the winter, because you're probably going to go mostly American. You're not looking internationally for those types of players. You might find some, and you might be willing to grab some, but I mean, with the way how this team is built sort of on the front end internationally, and I'm okay with the direction of what they were going. If they were sitting 6th, 7th place right now, and they did what they did and they didn't solve the defensive issue, then yes, maybe I'd be upset. But right now, not upset. It is what it is right now with the season. The season's basically over. There's a reason Cincinnati's going hard after Matt Miazga, because while they've been very good in the attack, they've been very poor defensively. And so they need that player to kind of maybe, solidify things a little more defensively for this team and actually push forward. There are a lot of teams like San Jose and New York that did basically nothing this window too. So all in all, like, I'm happy that the team went big, even if I have the same concerns you do about Benteke's age, about he's not a prolific striker. Again, if he was a prolific striker in the Premier League, he would still be in the Premier League. So it is what it is there. So I mean, that is a higher level that he has to attain to. I think he could be successful.
Sure.
I think if he comes motivated, if Wayne can properly motivate him, and I hope that is sort of the idea here, is like, properly motivate him and he can come out and be successful. I think those first few games are going to be good. And I think it's good we brought him in this window. Essentially, we are going to have, for all intents and purposes, I forget how many games are left in the year. I really have stopped keeping track. It's just next week. It's
make a difference, does it?
Like 6 hours. It's like 10 or so games left, we'll say, till the end of the year. So that he can kind of, build up those minutes, get some familiarity and some real life games. And then, you're essentially looking at, next season and preseason, really sort of trying to get everything down. So I think that was important. I think it was a successful transfer window. Obviously, with if Benteke comes in and only gets one goal, plays a few minutes, and then leaves like in the summer, then it was an absolutely disastrous window. It really all depends on how everything turns out. But I think overall, I like the moves that I don't really have any sort of qualms or big disagreements with the moves they made. I understand everybody points out the defensive side of the ball. My argument is, well, we're not winning anything this year. Let's get some of the salary. Like, you've got, Brad Smith is gone. A lot of salary probably tied up there. I guarantee you one of Russell Canales, Steve Birnbaum is Wayne's golf buddy, so that might throw a wrench in my plans. I think Brendan Heinzike, after this year, second big injury, I mean, I'm not sure how long his contract is, but I could see maybe them looking for a way out of that one. And then obviously your fullback position is, I think, one that you can maybe adjust. Yeah, you can maybe adjust for. So I think also too, the big thing for me this window too is if they can get David Ochoa in contract. If he shows something this year, I think that's going to be the big thing. then I think that would be making it an even more successful window.
He's going to show up as league average, and we're going to have to throw a bag at him because that will be such a step up for us.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering what he wants. Like, does he want more money? Does he want more years? Does he want probably both? Does he want to go out? Does he want to go abroad? I remember before we traded for him, there was rumors that like Barcelona was looking at him.
Yeah.
I don't know how real that is, but far be it for me to understand how Barcelona is signing any players right now, and they're signing like all of the players, and they're not allowed to register any of them. So who knows? I think also will be interesting to watch what is Christian Benteke's international future look like going to a World Cup. He played in 2 friendlies this year. He's not a major part of the setup anymore. Is that something he's got in mind? If it isn't, what's the nature of this move for him? And I guess we'll find that out when he does media availability. Like, why? Why did you come here? What did you want to get playing time? Do you want to go back to Europe and sort of reestablish yourself, or did you just want to try something different? Did you want to be the man somewhere? I'm very interested in sort of. I wish you could find out like what his real, honest motivation was, and not necessarily like whatever he's going to say at the press conference, because he's going to say, I love the opportunity to join this historic club, DC United, a team that I was definitely sure existed before I came here. Before they called me.
He knows the Vamos United. The Vamos United.
He does. That was hilarious. I don't know. Like I posted that. I was like, that popping up at the end was extremely like disorienting. All of a sudden, I was like, "Whoa! All right, yeah, this is real. This is actually happening." Okay, not quite the same mental shock that when Wayne came, or when Wayne came again. I was like, "Yeah, this doesn't feel like." But listen, they did something. They could have done nothing, and there would have been no difference in how this year is going to end up at all. It's all about vibes and making sure that these players are adjusted in for next season. That's why I would have liked to see them maybe they just weren't able to do that push to sign as many of the players they're going to want to bring in next year now, so they get this dead rubber 6 games, however many games there are left, to like get acclimated. So you're hitting the ground running because you have to, because next year is it. That's all there is. You got to go full bore.
And to their credit, I think they've done that. I mean, they brought in. I mean, you're thinking about the lineup. I mean, we're looking at. Basically, if we assume a 4-4-2, if you're talking about the midfield and the attack, they essentially brought in, of the 6 players in the midfield and the 2 in the attack. Sorry, the 6 players in midfield and attack, they brought in 5 of 6 of them that are conceivably the future. Ravel Morrison, Victor Paulson holding down the center. You've got obviously Martin Rodriguez out on the left wing. He's still a TAM level player. Jackson Hopkins probably right now is the only guy maybe that isn't sort of, that isn't in that sort of a youth player that you're trying to promote up. And then you've got Taxi. Taxi came earlier, but Taxi's been a hit. And then you've got Christian Benteke. So they've really transformed this roster pretty quickly. I think they've done enough of a push that I think at the winter window, where they will get the benefit of more time in the winter window than the summer window. I think that's the biggest problem with the summer window, is that there's just a short amount of time to actually get business done. The winter window, they will have conceivably more time. And I think the positions they will be looking will not be positions that will require a lot of lift to do. Maybe one big position, but they've done that before. So,
and there's a lot of dead contracts that are coming off of this team. So
not as many as I thought. I really thought Birnbaum was on his last year. I thought that Canals was on his last year. I think some of these guys still have contracts through 2023. So not as much as I thought.
Ola's out, Estrada's out, Nigel's out. Adrian Perez, I don't know if you retain him after his foot injury. I don't know what Drew Skundrich's story is. The defense really is the one. If you look at, if I'm looking at sort of just the roster, if you look at that defense, you're just you were not feeling confident, real like super confident about any of the players on this. Andy was uniquely suited for that 3 center back, like rampaging role. At that point, you're saying you need him to do that because there's nobody else on the team that can do it like him. Now playing a more conventional defense, he's fine. He's good. He's going to start on this in any of the configurations of the lineup that you have. But center back, you're not confident. Left back, you're super not confident. And that's where, and you were saying like maybe that's where they spend their American currency, basically. Get your American players in there that are not going to cost a lot of money. I would also, I prefer not Phil Jones necessarily. Like maybe that's something that maybe that's one of the players that they're still sniffing at. But like, Wayne, get your center back. Who's the guy you trust other than Steve?
It's probably Phil. Honestly, I will not be surprised.
Phil Jones?
Phil Jones, according to the English media, looks like there was an offer for him on the table to come to DC. And apparently he had stated that he wanted to sort of wait and see what, maybe if there was a, I think it's honestly, it's the route John Brooks is taking. It's, there's a huge injury to a center back and someone's like, we need somebody in here right now, right away. Like we're facing relegation. And then maybe he gets that offer. I think
he
John
wanted
Brooks
to stay to lose against Brighton. That was the deal.
Exactly.
He wanted to make sure that he was there for that.
Exactly. All right. I think that's going to do it. I don't think I have anything else I really wanted to say. It's, let's everybody, keep cool heads about the next few games. This team's not making the playoffs. They could go, everybody say, well, I think Mark Fishkin on Steam, they could go on a run. I said, they ain't going on a run. No one's going on a run. I need to see a sustained run before I can even at least 2 wins in a row, which I don't think we've done this season. I'm fairly
definitely
certain
not
about that.
The Revs are on a bit of a cool streak right now.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Orlando 3-0, but so we beat Orlando. So that Orlando is, granted they're above us in the table, but based on that fact, maybe they shouldn't be. And before that, draw, loss. So, don't expect the moon, but it's not impossible. This is they're 10th in the table on 8 more points. So yeah, it could happen.
It could happen.
We're not going to do a full. We're not going to do a full project. Well, why not? When is that? The 13th. That's before that. Let's do it. Let's do our perfunctory goal score prediction. I will say 1-1.
I'm gonna say 2-0 Revs. I think the Revs always find ways to punish us. They're also remaking their roster entirely.
Where's CJ Sapong? Is he still on it? Is he there?
No, CJ's in Nashville. You're talking Josie Altidore. Josie Altidore was loaned to Leon. So Josie Altidore is no longer there. So
who's our bogey player then? There's definitely still a guy that's on the Revs that still scores against us every time. I don't see. Well, any of them.
Yeah.
there's certainly Carlos Hill and Gustavo Bo can still make it happen. Tommy McNamara, that's my guess for he's going to score. The ghost of Tommy McNamara will come back and haunt us.
Tommy McNamara, player for 10 minutes on DC.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. We will definitely check us out, rfkrefugees.com/merch. Grab yourself some merch on the show. Patreon.com/rfkrefugees if you want to donate to the show. We're trying to do more content for you guys to give you guys feel like you guys earned that Patreon money give us, which we always appreciate. And also,
Speaking of that, for Patreon, there's a Bailey Feist interview that will be dropping tomorrow for Patreons, and then the Julie Rotter episode was up the entire week and is now dropping to everybody else tomorrow. So
yep,
you got.
So you're getting that money's worth. You're getting that live that content before everybody else. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll check you guys next week. Vamos.